What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have a little something that I want to bring to light that a lot of people have been complaining about when it comes down to Battlefield 6 that I think can be easily shifted. I'm going to be real. This can 110% be easily shifted by DICE, and they can make this convenient for everybody across the board to make sure, no matter what you enjoy within Battlefield 6, you can make sure that you don't have to do anything that's going to annoy you or piss you off or pull you away from the experience that you just don't simply want to play. And I guarantee it will keep people on the game itself much longer. But ladies and gentlemen, of course, before we go and dive on deep, if you guys are interested in more content like this, don't forget subscribing to that bell. I post twice here, once at 8 a.m. Eastern Time and a second time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, if you guys are interested in any of my live streams, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, if you guys are interested, go link that channel down in the description of this video. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, as you guys already know, we have the first battle pass within the Battlefield 6 experience. And I'll be real with you guys, it's not too shabby. Just like with 2042, I think it's not the most consumer-friendly battle pass, but they're always really chill to, kind of progress. I never felt like I was forced to grind through the battle pass in Battlefield 2042 because obviously every single week there was a new set of challenges, and if that's all I wanted to do, then that's all I needed to do. I didn't have to do anything extra. Of course, if I wanted to play more matches, I could do such and still gain XP towards the pass. But every week you log on, maybe for a day or two, finish up the challenges. They're pretty simple, so you probably finish it in one session. And you're good. You'll progress a decent portion through the battle pass. You do that every single week, and you're pretty much set. With a little bit of extra playtime on the side, you should be able to, pretty much progress through the whole thing. And Battlefield 6 has basically hung on to the same process here. Basically, you can earn XP throughout playing the game, which will progress through the pass. But the quickest way is that you're going to have weekly challenges, and these weekly challenges can be finished, and if you complete a decent portion of those challenges before the week ends, you can get a bonus challenge. But the best part about the system is that the challenges never leave. The bonus challenge will leave if you don't, complete the challenges in a quick window of time. But all the other challenges that aren't the bonus, literally the whole bunch, will stay there permanently until the end of the season. So even if you miss 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you can still log back in and you'll have 4 weeks worth of challenges that you could do whenever you feel like it, which is, again, outstanding. You have, an endless supply of XP to progress you through the battle pass whenever you feel like it. You don't feel rushed. You don't feel like you have to progress. That's my biggest gripe when it comes to Call of Duty's battle pass, is that it's heavily, basically match focused, playtime focused. You got to get into the game and play it in order to get that XP towards the pass. And if you don't play the game, you're not going to progress. Whereas, again, in Battlefield, you can come back once or twice a week and you'll progress just as fast. So I personally love this system. I want to make that very clear. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's awful. It's not the end of the world. It's good. But we do have a little bit of an issue here. Now, back in Battlefield 2042, we had a problem when the game first launched. The challenges kind of pulled you away from actually benefiting your team, and it wasn't too fun of an experience. It ended up, making people do very stupid things that completely takes them out of, the combat zone and out of actually functioning with your squad. And, that's not good for Battlefield. So the community complained, DICE addressed it, and over the course of time, they have made the challenges a lot more, friendly to how people play their playstyles. Now, all of them are great. Some of them will still pull you partially away, but compared to the day one challenges, massively better. So I genuinely thought that DICE might have, learned a bit there about what the community wants. But sadly, it doesn't come down to DICE and DICE only. EA has a pretty big say when it comes to how these passes should be handled because, again, it affects, the player progression rate. And it also kind of ciphers people into specific game modes depending on what the challenge is. And if you guys remember, we just got a brand new Battle Royale experience here within Battlefield 6. RedSec, I'll be honest, the reason I haven't really talked about it on this channel is because I don't really care for Battle Royales. I'm sorry, guys. I really wanted to try to play it, but after the first, 2 to 3 hours, I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was pretty cool. It's a nice spin on BR, but I just don't really like BRs. I instantly went back to Conquest, Breakthrough, Escalation, all the, the base game modes, because that's what Battlefield is to me, and that's where I have the most fun. But, the BR experience is still in the game, and you know dang well EA wants to push that because that is going to be, their biggest competitor when it comes to this game. They're really banking on the Battle Royale being successful because it'll bring more eyes to the franchise. And I'll be real, I'm not completely against this. I don't think there's a problem with DICE putting together, and it's not even DICE. It's a complete, I want everybody to understand this, because I still see a lot of confusion in the overall community of who put together this Battle Royale. It's not DICE. The people who are working on multiplayer are not the same people who are working on Battle Royale. It's a completely separate team. Kind of like how, Call of Duty handles their version of Warzone. Raven works on Warzone, while Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer work on the multiplayer side of things. Pretty much the same situation. My biggest concern is if the BR pops off so much that it becomes EA's main priority, which kind of, weighs in on multiplayer, like we saw with COD, where a lot of the perks and the systems and the way they, made maps and everything was revolved around Warzone first, multiplayer second. Luckily, Call of Duty is slowly getting back out of that, and they're starting to make, normal multiplayer experiences, while Warzone is, its own thing, obviously. But there's always the chance that Battlefield might go through that same exact cycle, right? The BR pops off, it's like, whoa, this is the breadwinner. Everything should be like the BR, and then the multiplayer suffers. We have no clue. Luckily, that's not the case right now. And I don't think that will affect us until, obviously years down the road when another Battlefield title comes out. I think we're pretty dang solid when it comes to Battlefield 6. But regardless, I trust they're not going to merge the two too much. But it's nice that if the BR pops off, it'll bring more eyes to, obviously, the Battlefield experience. Battlefield typically dies off pretty quickly, ladies and gentlemen. This is probably the most hype we've seen last around the Battlefield franchise in a long time. Usually players are already out and playing the next thing. So it's really nice to see the numbers that it's getting, but obviously, at the end of the day, Battlefield will boil down to a more hardcore audience. And if BR can pop off, that will get more eyes on the franchise, which means more people will want to play it later down the road, which is great. So trust me, I get why EA might want to push a little bit more of the BR experience, but you shouldn't force your base crowd to have to, play that if they don't want to. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes down to the challenges for the Battle Pass, there are some decent ones that are made for multiplayer, but it's almost split in half when it comes down to what you have to do. Some of them are multiplayer, and then some of them are for Battle Royale, forcing the player base to play the Battle Royale. And as I stated, I get it. EA wants the Battle Royale to do well. They want people to load into it and give it a shot, give it a chance, because there are a lot of people out there who just won't give it a go because it's another Battle Royale, and they're just not there for that. And they probably want people to get over that hurdle and try it. But seriously, EA, I shouldn't be forcing players to have to play it. And luckily, we do have a reroll feature when it comes to the challenges that you can re-roll and try to get a different one. But the sad part about it is that it doesn't always guarantee that if you re-roll a Battle Royale one, it will give you a multiplayer one. As you guys can see right here from Granithar saying, yes, you can re-roll challenges to avoid RedSec, but we'll force you to play RedSec anyway. They go on to say, I don't dislike Gauntlet, so personally it's not a problem for me this time. However, they are still forcing core game people to play RedSec. I'll also remind that playing Gauntlet with random people and qualifying is often not a trivial task. But as you guys can see right here, even if you re-roll your challenges, it doesn't always guarantee that you can get what you want. And this is a massive problem because, again, the challenges is a huge way to progress through the Battle Pass. It's one of the main ways to progress through the Battle Pass. As I stated before, it's one of my favorite things about the 2042 Battle Pass system. That game did pretty much everything wrong. But if they did one thing correct, it was definitely, making it very convenient to grind through those passes and not requiring all the time in the world like every other game out there where you have to play 50 million hours to get to the end of the Battle Pass. FOMO sucks. And a lot of these Battle Passes, even Battlefield's Battle Pass, has FOMO because it goes away. And if you don't complete it, you lose it. But you definitely don't feel as rushed compared to other titles because of this beautiful challenge system that they have that drops every week that allows you to hop on for a match or two, get all of them done, progress a decent chunk of the pass, and then, go about your business and do whatever the heck else you want. But forcing us to play the BR, a lot of people didn't buy this game for BR, EA. I mean, I know you want people to go over and try it, but people spent $70 to $100 to play the multiplayer experience, to play Battlefield, what Battlefield is. You shouldn't be saying, for a paid pass in the game that you have to purchase, keep that in mind, you have to pay for the pass. If you want to complete that pass, not only did you pay for the game and you paid for the pass, but you have to play a game mode, a free-to-play mode in the game that we put together that you didn't, buy in for. It wasn't in the game when you first initially purchased it. This is like a completely separate application at this point, RedSec. It's even labeled separately. It has a separate category on Twitch. It has a separate category everywhere. It's a different thing. But you have to go there and do that if you want to complete the pass you paid for. There's a really easy solution for this. And again, I'm sure DICE wants to do it, but there's no guarantee they're going to be allowed to do it because EA is always going to have the final say, and they want players to play the Battle Royale. They want it. They don't want it to dwindle away. So they're going to do everything possible to probably, up the player count of that, which means challenges are probably going to stay this way. But I'm hopeful with what I'm about to say here. I'm hopeful, and I really am keep my fingers crossed that, the team over at DICE can maybe try to push this past the top dogs, and they could, potentially get it into the overall experience. But split the challenges into two. It's actually a system like this in Splitgate. It might be a system like this in other games. You guys can let me know down in the comments section. But from my personal experience, the games that I play, Splitgate actually has a system like this, where, as you guys can see right here, there's two separate challenges for each thing. There's a challenge that you can complete in the multiplayer side of the game. So if you just want to play what Splitgate is, and that's all, you play that. And if you do enjoy BR, if you actually like it and you don't want to go play multiplayer, you have a BR portion of the challenge. Both will give you an equal amount of points. It doesn't matter which one you play, you'll still get the points that you earned from doing the challenges. And this is the best bet, in my opinion, because this will allow everybody to play exactly what they want to play. This could easily be incorporated into Battlefield 6, and it will allow everybody to have a blast with the game and not feel like they are forced to do anything that they don't want to do, which, as I stated, will be negative for player retention. People are not going to want to stick around if they are forced to play something they don't want. It's just simply how we work. But if we have more options, then players will be like, wow, I don't have to do this. I could do exactly what I want, however I want, and still be able to progress this pass, just as fast as anyone else. But please, EA, just like how I described in the beginning of this video, and I know, I was rambling for a decent amount of time in the beginning, but I really had to describe and share my emotions about how good, the challenge system truly is when it comes down to casual play and not having to play the game 24/7, hopping on for a couple of days, maybe even if you only have, a half an hour a day and you want to play it daily, that's still plenty enough time to, grind out the Battle Pass system with this weekly challenge, stuff that they have in the game. I had to describe how good this system is because I don't want them to change it, take it away, reevaluate. It's phenomenal. Just please don't force us to hop into Battle Royale to complete different challenges. Like for me as well, I'm just not a BR type of guy. I spent $70 to play some Battlefield, and I love this Battlefield game. Battlefield 6 is it's outstanding in my personal opinion. I have so much fun playing it every single time. I never get put in a bad mood when I load up some Battlefield 6. But it just sucks when I see, a challenge for the pass that I'm trying to grind through, which again, I paid for, that is making me go to a game mode that isn't even in the core, title itself. It just seems and feels so out there, but I understand why they do it. They want players to play the Battle Royale, and they want those numbers to go up. That's what sucks about the overall situation, and that's why I'm worried EA won't do anything about this. But that would really make a lot of players' experiences a lot better when it comes down to Battlefield 6. Is this a deciding factor for people not playing Battlefield? Not at all. Again, me myself as well. I'm going to play it. It doesn't matter what the, answer is to this overall topic. And they could say yes, no, maybe so. Who cares? I'm going to end up playing more Battlefield 6 because I like the game. But just as a little quality of life feature, it would go a long way with a lot of the players playing this right now if they didn't have to hop into BR just to complete the challenges for your overall Battle Pass system. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hated, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. Post twice here, once at 8 a.m. Eastern Time and a second time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, if you guys are interested in any of my live streams, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, guys are interested, got link that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out.